let's talk Age of Empires. And to do that, I got my good friends here with me. We've got Adam.
Hello.
We've got Joe.
Hello.
And we got Bert over there.
Hello.
Gents, first off, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having us on the show. This is awesome.
Well, you know what's awesome? Age of Empires Definitive Edition. Talk to me a little bit about, so Age, we're talking 20 years in the making.
Yeah.
You guys, I mean, this basically started the RTS phenomenon, more or less, right? So what can fans look forward to for the Definitive Edition specifically?
Well, it's more like what hasn't been changed, really, is the question. Aside from balance and the way that, keys used to work, everything has been updated in Age for Definitive Edition. We wanted to put all of the love that we've done. We've updated the other editions of Age, but we haven't taken it this far before.
Yeah.
Graphics, sound, music.
4K, hello,
4K,
what's up?
Right. Gameplay, multiplayer. Everything about this game has been brought up to modern standards so that Age fans from 2, 3 other RTSs can just jump in and experience what started off this 20-year franchise, this 20-year legacy.
Yeah.
Right, but in a modern way. Because, you go back and you play the game, the old game, and you load it up, for people that played it before, you're like, I have such fond memories of this game. I'm going to load it up. It's going to be great.
Everyone seems to have a memory of this game, right?
Yeah. And you load it up, and you're like, oh, that doesn't kind of look like how I remember it.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do is capture our goal, right? Bert and his team at Forgotten Empires did an amazing job of basically making it that vision that you had in your head, that you kept in your head of how great this game was. That's what we wanted to make sure you saw on the screen now when you were playing in the Definitive Edition.
Excellent. Now, we are going to get to some gameplay here because I know that's really what you all want to see. But before we do, we had a major couple of announcements that came on Monday. Can you guys talk to that?
Absolutely. Well, first we announced that Age of Empires Definitive Edition is coming out on October 19th, which is almost exactly 20 years to the day.
Yeah, we couldn't do it the exact day because the exact day is actually a Sunday now. And so we don't release games on a Sunday.
Adam didn't want to get up that early
if
on
we
a Sunday.
could, we would have.
Totally. What else? I know we've also got Age 2, Age 3 getting some love.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 3 are both going to get their own definitive editions. And so those are coming up. We're really excited to bring those to you because we have long-standing loyal audiences for both of those games that are still creating and participating in the space. So we're really happy to bring that to the community.
But last but not least,
Age of Empires 4.
Woo! Little goosebumps there.
Man, so excited. I would love to just gush about everything that's in the game, that it's what it's about. We are so excited to be able to do Age of Empires 4. Relic has been an amazing partner to work with. I could go on and on and on. I think it's in amazingly good hands. We really want to live up to the spirit and the soul of what Age of Empires is all about. And I think we're well on our way already. So I am very excited. I can't wait to share more about 4.
Excellent.
Soon.
Soon. Okay, well, I say we jump right in. Bert, how do you feel about getting us into Definitive Edition, showing our viewers what they can expect?
Absolutely.
So where are we now? What's going on here?
So
We're in Iron
talk
Age.
to us, Bert.
All right, so we have a little demo scenario here, and basically we start with a nice town. It's a little camp here, military base, and you have a lot of resources, so you can just start right away.
And by the way, just look at the fidelity right there alone.
We can just look at it.
Come on.
Yeah, look at this.
Look at that water.
Yeah, the water. That was a lot of work. We put a lot of work into the water to
It's
really.
just crazy because you wouldn't believe it, but it's still the same 2D engine. But you have the water and the waves and the reflections, so you wouldn't really expect that.
That's incredible.
The thing that
going on?
always blows my mind is the reflections on the water. I think that's a really great touch, and the whales that you see in there. They just
see the whales jumping?
They're so
Swimming?
beautiful.
It really does look like the kind of game that you can just immerse yourself in. I mean, it's already been that, but now you've got the HD, you've got the 4K. It's just so beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the nostalgia factor of everybody. I mean, this right here, classic Age of Empires, ships fighting troops on the water. Just walk on in there and
walking in the shallow water
stab
with the boats. Why not?
Yeah.
I know. Talk to me a little bit about music and composition here. I know that got some love as well.
Yeah, so we went back and we went to the Prague. Was it Prague? Yes.
Yes.
Prague Orchestra Symphony, and had a 68-piece symphony and had them re-record a lot of the soundtrack,
Yeah.
especially, you know, the first Age didn't really have a signature track. That da-na-na-na-na-na that you hear is from Age 2. And so we actually, but because that became the signature for all of the Age games, we wanted to really make sure that we kind of reinforced that with this. So when Todd, our audio guy, was going back, he was like, okay, we got to re-record at least the theme, the main theme for what is now Age of Empires.
Yeah.
And just, it sounds so, the symphonic track sounds so amazing now. We're constantly getting hit up from people at work that are like, hey, can I get the soundtrack off of you? Like, can you just throw that over in a share for me? Because like everyone is just, and it's one of those like trigger memories, like people hear it, just like you were saying, you know, people have stories.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, I know this track. Yeah, I'm just going to listen to this.
Hey, speaking of that, while Bert's continuing to play, and Bert, tell us if you want to jump in and let us know what you're doing here and showcase some of these new features, some of these this new look and feel.
Well,
oh my God.
At the moment, I'm just trying to make my way to the enemy. There's a little
That's fair.
little ambushes in the way before I get there.
Well, you keep doing what you're doing. Let me ask these guys. Obviously, you're fans from way back.
Oh,
Tell me what your favorite Age of Empires game was, and maybe when you started. What's your origin story?
Well, I've been making RTS games for a long, long time. So I was at Westwood Studios working on the Command & Conquer series of RTS games when Age of Empires first came out. And I'll tell you, the two things, the one major thing is we were like, oh my God, history, that's brilliant.
Yes.
Like, it's so accessible. It's so easy to understand. It's like, I get a guy with a club and a bow, and like, I get it. I get what they do. You don't have to teach anyone any more than that to get them to play the game. And we thought, what an awesome way to embrace an RTS game is to do one through history. Also, the random map editor, amazing. Like the random map generator, we were so jealous of the random map generator at Westwood Studios, let me tell you. Like, we were always trying to figure out how to make one of our own, and we could never get it to be as good as the one that they made here in Age of Empires 1. Yeah, we tore into that thing like crazy. Like, how are they doing this? But just such an appreciation for an RTS game being on the field, right, in terms of the big players in RTS space, but being one that was so accessible and so identifiable with many people. It was kind of one of those things that we were like, bravo,
Exactly.
point for you.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Joe, what about you?
Well, I started playing Age of Empires back in '97 when it first came out, but then our computer crashed and we lost it. We didn't have it. We didn't have the box or the disc anymore. I don't know what happened to it. So it was not until many years later that I came back to Age of Empires, and so I really think of my first Age of Empires game as Age of Empires 3.
Interesting. Okay.
Because that's the one that I really actually
Got
played
into.
and became almost competent in. I've never claimed to be great at any RTS, Age of Empires perhaps especially, but I'm a big fan of all of the rock paper scissors, the design elements that go into it, all of the deep strategy and the community that has built around the competitive nature of the game, and has just kept the game going for 20 years. Them and the scenario editor and modding community, those people have created mountains and mountains and mountains of work that you never run out.
You know, let's talk about community for a second while Bert's conquering the world here. Because you actually got to see quite a few fans up close, both at Monday's event, but also here on the floor. What's been the reaction to Definitive Edition, and moreover, can you just give me an example of an Age fan? What makes an Age fan different?
So I've gotten multiple Wololos today walking around the show, and I think Wololo, right? I think like that's awesome.
Yeah, my shirt. This was red when I got out of bed today. It's changed like 4 times.
It's every time it's like red again. But I mean, like that to me is. I think the great thing about Age is it's such an accessible game, and it's so just fun to get into and play that I see people from all different age groups, all different kind of gamer cultures that just love Age of Empires. The people that love building giant bases and just walling themselves in. The people that are super aggressive competitive players, right? There's room for everybody in Age of Empires, and that's something that I think is so wonderful to see come out in all of the fans.
When I meet new people and I tell them that I'm the community manager for Age of Empires, they they go through a few phases.
Yes.
The first thing is like, Age of Empires, that's still a thing. And then the next phase is, wait, they're doing a new game? And then the next phase is, tell me about it, where can I buy it? That was my favorite game when I was little. It just like comes right out of them. It seems like everybody has a little Age of Empires fan in them that's just running around from back 20 years ago.
And I like what you said, because, that's the one thing about Age that has helped it, I think, stand the test of time, which is, to your point, you can start at 1, but you can come in at 3 and say, listen, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to get competent at this, I'm going to enjoy this, and it works across. Now they tell me.
In your mind, you were competent.
So, Bert, where are we? What's going on? Let's check back in with our cam here.
I actually managed to get to the big city where my big enemy is, and actually it's a great way to showcase one of the other new features, the visual upgrades that we did. If you now destroy a building, you can actually see it collapse down.
I was going to say that the destruction factor alone is just so
satisfying.
satisfying.
So
That's
satisfying.
the word.
Exactly.
Yeah, crumbling towers now is like, yes.
Yeah, and
they like it too.
You don't want to do it tactically anymore. You just want to see a high building collapse slowly.
Yeah. It's like one of those super high-speed cameras where you see like the balloon pop or something, and it just that's what I think of when I see these buildings fall apart.
I'm just happy there's elephants.
Thank God.
Yeah, there have to be, you have to have elephants.
They're the original tank.
Yeah, they really are. Yes, literally. They are.
So, Bert, from a developer perspective, I mean, what are some of the things that you think fans are going to most, I mean, aside from the elephants and the spectacular destruction, what else are fans really going to see here, the Definitive Edition, especially fans of the franchise all up?
A massive trip down memory lane, absolutely. Like all the people we talked to so far, the first reaction was like, hey, this still looks like what I remembered. And actually, what we should have done at the booth was like having a little 800 by 600 monitor, like just to show the old game, to really see the difference, because it's insane, but people still recognize it, and that's so lovely to hear.
Yeah.
Because you want to bring it up, but you still don't want to bring it
out
of like what is H1,
right?
Yeah.
And it's great to hear that people see that and feel that.
It'd be about the size of like us in this frame right now, compared to the game.
It's just nuts. When we had a lot of discussions about that while we were making this, and like how far do we go? Because we don't want to turn it into Age 2, right, or Age 3. We want it to stand on its own as Age 1, but we want to modernize as well. And so it's like, well, okay, Idle Villager has to be in. People forget that there's no Idle Villager in Age 1, so they're hunting around that. Where's that guy?
I don't understand.
I don't understand. Go cut some trees. So there's a lot of improvements we made. Like, okay, that one's okay, but we had to walk a really fine line to make sure that it was still really Age 1.
And now you're going to be walking that fine line again, coming here into 2, into 3. And how much, because we keep talking about community, and the Age community is unlike many that I have seen in a very long time, in terms of both their longevity and their just passion for the game. Do you guys listen to the community? How does that kind of work? I mean,
we totally, like Forgotten Empires, we totally came from the community, so we are still totally active there.
Yeah.
If people have like a question about balance, like even if it's that small, they just mail it straight to us. We have to reply to them, So we're just in it. We work from out of the community, basically.
I love it.
Yeah, we're really, really well, I think we're really well integrated with the community.
Yeah.
Just having Forgotten Empires coming from the community really feels like we sort of have an inside view on how the community is feeling. These guys are up on Reddit, on Twitter, like all the time. So when the community speaks, we listen, and it's sort of my job to collect all of that info and make sure it gets over to
I
Adam
love
and
this
team.
movement. Just get it over there.
It's like
anyway.
You're looking at
hike the ball.
Forgotten Empires is a group of guys that, and I love your story, Bert, about the download. So I want you to tell that.
Okay.
It's like, but you're looking at a group of people who got together and are now a developer making video games because of a love of Age of Empires.
That's the ultimate fan story, quite honestly.
Basically, yeah. So the way we started out is we made like this mods for Age of Empires 2, which then turned into an expansion. And at the beginning, we didn't really think that much of it. Like, hey, this is a cool project. At one point, we have to share it with the world, so we shared it, and I was like, if we get $20,000 out of it, I'd be super happy.
I love that. I love your bar. That's fantastic.
That was a good
Yeah.
test.
Good.
So we put it out, and then I think after 1 hour we had 20,000 downloads. Website crashed, and we were like, oh shit. We had no idea what we were doing. But yeah, after a while we had like I think 1 million downloads, and then we reached out to Microsoft and said like, hey, we have this thing. You guys have the HD edition for Age of Empires 2 coming out at the time. And that kind of became one thing and became an official expansion, and then we kind of kept rolling into it.
Yeah, it was like, all right, you have our attention. Wow.
Okay.
And the
What
love,
you've done.
that love has, I really feel like, just grown. You know, every time we do an announcement, we have the same kind of surge from the community. Like coming back, you know, some of them have left over the years, and they come back with such force. They're like, oh my God, yes, I want to dive back into this.
So how was it? And if you haven't seen our Monday night show, check out mixer.com/mixer and look for it in the VOD. But that moment at the end where Shannon Loftus is standing there and she reveals to the world that which you all already knew about. What was that moment like that when Age 4 was announced officially?
Oh, it was insane. There was so much energy in that room. I feel like the walls were just vibrating with everybody's tension about like wanting to know what is this big announcement going to be, and then the thing that nobody dared hope for.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Finally, we're actually doing it. Everyone is so excited.
It was the cheers being so genuine that was so amazing about it, really. Just the feel from the audience of like, oh my God, this is really happening. Like, they're really doing Age of Empires 4.
Too, by the way. I don't know. It's me.
Good try. I like that. That was a good try.
Yeah, just remind us, when did you say that?
Really? Sorry, guys. I thought I'd try my one last.
good. You tried.
I appreciate it.
But you know, and we've got. Let's see. In terms of when the I guess we've got Definitive Edition out for pre-order now.
Yep.
When's that going to go live?
October
19th?
Yes.
Cool.
That's
Excellent.
correct.
Excellent.
And I saw some people in the comments mention that because it's on the Windows Store, it doesn't support scenario editing, which is true, but don't count out the scenario editor just yet.
Aha! That was very well put.
we feel very strongly that the modding community is a huge part of the Age of Empires pedigree, and we're not going to leave these folks behind for this love letter to
And
fans.
I want to underline that we will never leave the modding community behind for any Age of Empires game.
You heard it here. Probably not first, but at least
Actually,
again.
that was first.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
Because we are breaking news. So one more time, we'll go check in with Bert over here at what looks like a sincere and honest cleanup.
He's just decimating.
You just,
catapult.
you know, I would feel
Flaming.
worse because the buildings are beautiful, but they also destroy beautifully too. So
It's nice blue brick, so
it really is. It's
like-
true.
it's
Kicking
pretty
over
even
a
in
beautiful
rubble.
sandcastle.
Exactly.
There's something to be said just for the action of destruction.
Exactly. Well, is there anything else you want to tell fans? Is there anything else that they can, where can they get stuff? Where can they go to learn more? Give them the details.
Follow us on Facebook, Age of Empires, Twitter, Age of Empires, Instagram, Age of Empires Game, and always at ageofempires.com. You can pre-order on the Windows Store, Age of Empires Definitive Edition, and then your social channels, Bert?
everything Forgotten Empires. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, just /Forgotten Empires. That's right.
And you can always find those guys on Reddit as well.
That's right.
Yes,
Yep,
indeed.
Yep. I'm just going to add one last thing.
Bring it
I'll
on.
say one more thing about H4.
Yes.
Everyone seems
I'm
super
listening.
excited about the game. Super excited. But, the only hesitation I've seen people say is like, oh my God, what are they going to do to the game? Is it going to be more of a MOBA? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? We are making a true Age of Empires game.
Yeah. Okay.
PC, RTS, true Age of Empires game.
The hairs on the back of my neck stand up when he says that.
So the legacy,
wait to share.
you're saying that the legacy of the Age of Empires franchise is intact. It will be intact.
I have friends that work at Robot, which are, of course, people that used to work at Ensemble that did the original Age games. I have friends at Blizzard. I obviously have friends at Relic. Nobody wants us to mess up. All the people I know that have been in the RTS community forever, all of us are like, oh yes, Age is back. And there's a weight on that.
Yeah.
And our ultimate goal is to live up and respect the legacy of Age of Empires and make a fantastic one that everyone can be proud of.
Now, Bert, I have another question I'll just add to this for you. Especially when when Adam talks about you guys have a lot of pressure on your shoulders. You know, they've Forgotten Empires, Relic, they've got a lot of pressure to come here at 4. Do you feel that back when you were designing the definitive, or how do you deal with that kind of, like, it's like, how would you deal with that kind of pressure?
I think you get used to it after a while, because we came from the Age of Empires 2 community, which still is massive, and we're right in the middle of it. So you get bombarded from every angle, like, hey, why is that civilization all a bit like that, or why a bit like that? And for example, we put Hungarians in the game a while back. All the Hungarian fans like, don't mess this up. This is our country. This is our country.
Oh, man.
So
there's such pressure on that too.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean,
I've had fans come up to me and ask me questions about Age 4 now, and they're like, "Are the Hungarians in? Are the Russians? Are the Chinese? Like, what are the factions?" I'm like, "I'm not telling you anything."
You're like,
but it's so, and there's a weight to that, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we put a faction and we want to make sure it actually culturally represents
yes,
the tactics and the style and the architecture. And so that's a big challenge and a big burden, because we're dealing with history. So we have to get it right.
I mean, honestly, though, how much research goes into, I mean, like, I know that face you just made, Bert, totally answered that question.
Yes, one of the
these
things that
guys
we
are
try to do
researchers. Oh
with
my gosh.
every civilization that we have in Age of Empires 2, we have to make sure that the language they speak is what they used to speak in the Middle Ages.
Yes.
So I think for a few civilizations, we actually had to go back and say, hey, the Ethiopians, what do they speak? Back then, who knows? Right. And we actually had to revive, I think, for 2 civilizations, like ancient languages that are basically dead now. And you have to go to universities to see, like, hey, does anything exist? Does this language exist? And we actually managed to revive, because you also had to record the voices to dead languages just for Age of Empires. And that's like, wow.
Well, it actually turns you guys into archaeologists, anthropologists in a lot of ways. Because
we have a lot of historians on the team just for that.
They actually went in and found and corrected historical inaccuracies in the game that were missed the first time around. So they went in and were like, whoa, hey, wow, okay, this is awesome. Oh, all right, they're like, this is wrong. This is just, we got to fix this.
And I get people all the time on Facebook, on Twitter saying, oh, I have a history test coming up. Gonna go play some Age of Empires.
Well, you remember that meme, right? The guy with the beard, it's like, history final, time for some Age of Empires. I love that.
Yeah, so there's a huge pressure to get it right, and a huge desire to get it right, because it's something that we love about this. It's history as a hobby.
Right.
Well, and you guys, I mean, pressure aside, you guys are looked at as the gold standard in not just in terms of RTS, but in terms of historical accuracy, like you were just talking about. I mean, what are the general things that people are saying now on your social media channels? Like, you are like dialed in, man. I mean, even like, I'm just curious what your social media channels have to be like for Age, because
it's a lot of screaming, a lot of excited, a lot of things on fire. People are very, very, very happy right now. Everybody's asking when it's coming out. And Adam, if you just remind everybody again,
when was that?
Real quick.
What was it?
That date that you said?
I can't.
It's anyway.
I can't remember for some reason. I don't know.
We're just never gonna. Guys, give him a raise, because we're
trying. We're doing our best. We're having so much fun. Everybody's so excited, and everybody's really excited for the pre-orders too.
Yeah,
because there's something to do.
Tangible.
Now there's a product that we can all gather around again.
Yeah.
Well, and now speaking of the definitive edition here, again, you've been on the floor.
Yes.
You've been at the stations, seeing people come through. The line is nuts in front of your guys' stations. What has been the reaction? Because obviously you used that kind of reaction right there, right in front of your face. What's been sort of the overall reaction from people that they've talked about?
I see a lot of delighted people. I see people walking away that are super happy with the game. I see people typing in cheat codes.
What?
And going back and using all the old cheat codes, and they all still work. And so, you know, the team, Bert and his team kept them all in, and they're giggling and like making the monks move at like 100 million times an hour, like across the map, converting everything, just laughing and having a great time. And I that's just so wonderful to see, right? That everyone's like, oh my God, it's all still here.
It was funny because it was like two big guys and they were giggling like little girls.
Oh, they were giggling. Yeah, they're just like, what's that code? So good.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So in terms of where you guys are going to be for the rest of Gamescom, are you just going to be on the floor, keeping it real? I heard there was also maybe in a little esports, little tournament going on?
Yeah, there is.
Oh,
so
yeah.
our community partners at Escape Gaming are running the Euro Cup tournament over at the Game Legends booth on Saturday.
Yeah.
So we've got, they've been doing prequals all month to get the best in Europe to come down. So a lot of your favorites are going to be there. Tato's going to be there. The Viper, if you guys are into the competitive scene, they're going to be there battling it out for the prize pool, and we're going to be there covering it too. So follow our social channels and you'll see it.
Absolutely. Cool, and I guess we have to just make sure that we put out how people can get it. Once again, we're talking ready for pre-order now.
Yes, you can pre-order it right now.
Definitive
Super
Edition. Easy peasy.
Definitive Edition.
Okay.
We've got, it's coming out on October 19th.
Okay.
So we're really close, 20 years almost to the day of the original Age of Empires. Couldn't be prouder of what Bert and his team have accomplished in like really just making this a wonderful game, and it is so fun to jump in.
Yeah.
And just you're immediately like, oh, I'm in the groove again. Oh yeah, I remember this. This is awesome.
Well, now let me just say, we actually just got a little note from our producer here that we've actually got more time, which is a good thing because right now chat's loving you guys like you wouldn't believe. So speaking of jumping in, Bert, how would you feel if we decided to go at it again? And you can talk us through a little bit more of the Definitive Edition.
All right, we'll do.
Let's do it.
Do you know much about it? I just was curious.
Check out that wonder.
Yeah.
I just like that alone. Like
Just
look
looking
how-
at the city, it's insane. Like one of the things that we did to make the architecture like revamped.
Yeah.
We had much more color to work with. The original game was like 256 colors.
Yes.
Like, how much can you do with that?
Like gifts. Like that's all you got. That's I think it's about that many. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So now we had basically infinite colors. How much more can you squeeze out of that? And then you do the historical research, and this is basically ancient Babylon. And the buildings, they used blue bricks, and we basically try to revive that city, revive that whole feeling. And now you really have that feeling like, hey, this existed, right?
Yeah.
I want to go there. I want to go on holiday to this place.
And it didn't just exist, but you're building this stuff.
Yeah.
And moreover,
You're making your
destroying
own.
it. Yes. So how does, out of curiosity, this is just the little punk in me, but how does the can you destroy the statue?
I think.
If you don't, I'm okay with it, but I thought I would ask.
I think we'll leave it up for now.
That's fair. You're right. No, you're right. No, you're right. But let's take us through a little bit more. I'd like to see, because this is, for a lot of people, this is their first view of the Definitive Edition in all its glory.
I think because I think we have a lot of big fans watching from the Age of Empires series, so we had a lot of like little quality of life improvements. Adam mentioned it before, idle villagers, you can finally find them.
Oh my gosh.
They're not playing hide and seek anymore.
Thank goodness.
You can also walk over farms. In the original game, you can place a farm, and that was basically a wall.
Yeah, you can make farm walls.
Yeah,
Farm walls,
and
You can't do that anymore.
it was nice, but also a bit weird. Sorry?
Reseeding?
Receding, you can easily reseed farms. If you put down a building, your villagers will automatically go to work.
Yeah.
So they're basically not lazy anymore. They're much smarter.
Attack move.
Attack move. Oh,
We
absolutely.
added attack
Yes.
move, which
Absolutely.
is a huge upgrade.
Please bring it. Let's see.
Huge upgrade to the game, right?
Exactly.
Any modern RTS game has attack moves so that you can easily get your guys to move and attack units as they go, rather than running by everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now I'm not doing anything, but they go
Hands
automatically.
off, and they automatically will choose the targets.
Exactly.
They have logic in there, so they know what targets to choose and what priority based on what they do, what they are.
Brilliant.
that's a huge quality of life improvement for Age of Empires 1.
Yeah.
Absolutely, especially if you're talking about fighting on multiple fronts all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean,
Again,
like,
it's all about.
we're not fighting a massively aggressive force right now because
Sure.
we want people to have fun, and just kind of blowing things up is always fun in an
Yeah,
RTS.
well, I won't disagree with that.
Yeah, like it's never. Yeah, the only thing better is if you can set things on fire and then blow them up, and well, of course you can do that too. So I think we got it covered. But yeah, I mean, like that alone has just been a huge win for us.
Absolutely.
Or control groups.
Control groups.
Let's see that.
It's just all those little things that people expect from an RTS game, but they were not in the original
Yes.
one. So
Yeah.
they had to be in. They had to be in.
Yeah, so now you can bandbox, you can add guys, you can hit Control 1 and put them all. We have rally points on buildings now for production.
Absolutely.
Right? So any production building, you can add a rally point, and then any unit built will go to the rally point, which is, of course, another, hey, that wasn't in Age 1. All these people forget.
Yeah.
Like, none of this was here.
Well, because I mean, new things have been invented in the 20 years since it came out, you know, and it doesn't seem the changes are just like these quality of life improvements that don't change the spirit of the game or really change the way the game is played, but really change your experience and the way that you remember feeling when you played this game.
You can also now play when we have the build bar up. It's we have a grid hotkey system, much like modern RTS games. So you can just use the keys across the keyboard to build in the row and column based on the keyboard, rather than having to use all the old Age commands, which are all over the keyboard.
Of course.
But you can still use the old commands if you want to. So you can fall back into that mode super easily, so that everyone that remembers Age and wants to play it just like they remember it, they can. But all the people that've gotten used to a little different way of playing and more modern way of maybe playing RTS games, we support that as well.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Trying to see if there's anybody here on the chat that would like to talk to these guys about...
I feel like everybody in chat, I would love to hear if they have it, their Age of Empires memories, because everybody seems to have one. We were doing some interviews with some fans earlier, and one person said, they moved across the country with their mom and brothers and sisters, and like this was the game that they all still play together, and like it was their original game. That's what really made it work for them. Everybody has something that means something to them, and Age of Empires is that for a lot of people.
When you guys talk about Age to people that don't know games all up, how do you describe it? I mean, it's a pretty done deal for RTS fans. That's no-brainer. But how do you describe? Because this is one of those games that I feel like is so universal and can be so easily picked up and just expanded upon. How do you guys talk about the game on those terms?
I just always say you get to relive and replay history, right?
Yeah.
You get to decide if, the Chinese conquer the world. You get to decide if, Japan goes and takes over everything. You get to play out all those, not only can you experience history, but you can also play out all those what-if scenarios you always had in your head about, I wonder if this could happen, and it's much like, the thing I love about RTS games, especially Age of Empires, because of all the civilizations, it's almost like kids playing in a sandbox with action figures, where they're like, it's a dinosaur and a pirate, but now it's like, all right, we're going to get the Chinese to fight the French, right? Which is like, okay, let's see what happens. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about the entire franchise, has been that ability to be that broad and that kind of engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, excellent. There's a lot of people watching in our fishbowl here.
Okay, really
Bert, I see you're enjoying yourself some sea warfare.
Well, not that much anymore. My fleet basically sunk.
Your fleet got sunk? Oh, they did?
Yeah, there you go.
You just got burned.
Burned, yep.
Sad.
That was
sad boat.
Sad panda, but that's okay. You got quite a bit of other
I love
things.
the water.
Yeah.
Looks so good.
Absolutely. Once again, we're on ageofempires.com.
Yep.
We're available for pre-order right now,
Right
and
now.
come out on October 19th.
That's right.
Okay, and follow all of these guys on their social media channels. We've got Forgotten Empires.
Forgotten Empires, indeed.
Yes.
Exactly. We've got
Age of
AOT.
Empires.
Exactly, and
Well, just me, I guess.
It's just Adam.
At Ishmael, except instead of an L, it's a 1.
Excellent.
So there you go. You can follow me on Twitter and rage at me if you don't like Age of Empires
Nice.
or anything.
Good. It's all Adam's fault.
Please
Rage
feel
at
free
me,
to.
man.
Yeah,
Rage at me.
I can take it. I'm a big
I'm
boy.
tweeting that from Age of Empires. I'm going to pin that. It's Adam's fault. Please forward all complaints.
Oh, yes.
Something else you heard here first. Well, guys, thank you so much for stopping by and showing us more of the definitive edition here of Age 1. Just Age.
Yeah.
Yes.
And go out and enjoy the rest of Gamescom.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Back to
Bye.
you.